Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm your host, Jim Goddard. John, in our show This Week in Money, you pointed out that the Resource Juniors had the best financing month in March since June of 2011. In fact, of the $1 billion raised by tsx.v listings, just over $700 million went to Resource Juniors. In our March 3rd Discovery Watch episode, you brought to our attention that Osisko Mining and others had raised $100 million for the Windfall District in Quebec. Osisko now has a market cap approaching $1 billion. Are there any new developments in the Windfall District?
Osisko continues to report high-grade intervals from drilling on various zones within the Windfall Project holdings. There are still no major barn burner intersections, but the company has signaled that it is now getting serious about developing the zones that they are outlining. They announced this past week that they are investigating a former pulp and paper mill near just outside Labelle-sur-Quévillon, which is about 100 kilometers west of the Windfall Project, and they're looking at this as a possible milling complex site. There is power in that area, and they would have to truck the ore 103 kilometers from the mine site to that area.
Metanor operated an open-pit mine at its Barrick project just west of the Windfall Project. When you zoom in with Google Earth, you see the old tailing ponds and other mine site infrastructure. Would it not make sense to build a mining complex next door at Metanor's Barrick project?
Metanor Resources and its Barrick project, right next door to Osisko's Windfall Project, has been a conspicuous hole in this whole Windfall District revival. Metanor is one of these small-scale mining companies. They operate the Bachelor Lake gold mine in Quebec, 40,000 ounces a year. And it at one point operated a small open pit mine at the Barrick project. They have outlined additional low-grade resources that they would like to also mine once again as an open pit operation. There is no power to that site, but Osisko does not control Metanor. And one of the interesting developments of the past few weeks is that this little market orphan has been adopted by both the street and by another gold producer. They raised $11.5 million at 6 cents in early March. Eric Sprott bought a third of that, and he's also a big stakeholder in Osisko Mining, Inc. And just over a week ago, they raised another $10 million, this time at 7 cents, and it brought Kirkland Lake Gold in as a 70% purchaser of this financing. So that gives Kirkland Lake a strategic stake in the company, and this is part of this whole new process we're seeing where producers are acquiring equity stakes in juniors that have interesting projects. The company has done a 10-for-1 rollback just on Thursday, so it went from sort of 12 cents to a $1.20 level. It has only a $70 million valuation at this point. Some drilling that they did in the vicinity of the Barrick resource, which is sort of 1 to 2 gram per ton range, intersected some interesting zones that are significantly higher grade mineralization. Given the big rethink that Osisko Mining is doing on the whole Windfall District, I think it's time for the Barrick project to also get that sort of intensive drilling to fully understand what makes the ore zones tick in this part of the urban Barrick greenstone belt, and is there something substantially better than what the company was targeting for a small-scale open pit mine. So I have a suspicion that at some point Osisko Mining would want to absorb Metanor, and it has a market valuation of 10, 12 times bigger at this point. I suspect it will be done at a premium to the current market price of Metanor, which is now $13 or so post rollback. And it would make sense that if you consolidate the entire district, why would you want to truck the ore all the way to Labelle-sur-Quévillon, especially if you end up developing it from multiple deposits in that area? It would make more sense to use the existing mine site on the Barrick project of Metanor and build the power line to that area, because if Bob Wares is right, this entire barren, herby greenstone belt deserves to be taken seriously in the way that the Timmins district is in the Abitibi greenstone belt. So I think the talk about developing this old dome tar pulp and paper mill site and trucking the ore, I think this is probably just strategic, and the real game is probably eventually acquiring Metanor. But the arrival of Kirkland Lake Gold does make it a little bit more difficult for Cisco, because it's possible that maybe Kirkland Lake Gold would want to get a foothold in this camp.
Well, Cisco has become a major shareholder of Beaufield Resources, and the recent proxy battle seems to have ended with Osisko in charge. Beaufield just reported drill results, and the stock has traded up to 30 cents on heavy volume. Were the drill results any good?
The dozen holes that Beaufield drilled on the Lac Rollo prospect were pretty low grade and disappointing. So they do not explain why the stock a couple weeks ago perked up and has traded as high as 30 cents. A probable trigger for the rising volume was Osisko Mining Inc. itself, which disclosed that it had bought 4 million shares in the open market in the first week of April, and it now owns 18.1% of the of Beaufield's 200 million or so issued shares. So Beaufield, although there is nothing particularly spellbinding in any of the prospects that it has on the property, has never seen the intensive type of work that Osisko is now doing on the original Windfall project. And I suspect that with Bob Wares now on board, and Osisko with the largest stake, and the proxy dispute settled with one of the major shareholders of Beaufield joining the board, I think we are going to see a very new approach to drilling the Lac Rollo project. But one thing to keep an eye out, and we talked about it in a prior Discovery Watch episode, are the 6 holes that Beaufield has drilled on the Golden Retriever property, which is to the west and on strike from the Black Dog zone, where Osisko has been getting high-grade results. And the Black Dog zone is away from the main Windfall deposit, where there's about 1.6 million high-grade ounces that are all sort of in scattered little lenses, but which Osisko's new drilling strategy is stitching together into a much more mineable resource. Beaufield did not really say much about the Golden Retriever hold. It did say that they've been shipped for assays and that further work is planned. And I think that's where we should keep our eyes on, because this is a swampy area that has never been drilled, because based on geophysics and apparent cutoff at the western end of the Black Dog, it was believed that the zone ended, that there was nothing really extending onto this ground. The absence of a visual description does make one is perhaps encouraging, right? That they because we could be seeing some interesting results from Golden Retriever.
Discovery Watch with John Kaiser. We'll be back right after the break.
GEM International is a new diamond explorer in the richest diamond producing country in Africa, located next to the 4th largest producing diamond mine in the world. International Spotlight is on an 1109 carat diamond recently discovered in Africa by a fellow Canadian junior with a proven operator and finance team. GEM International trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol GI. Visit us at gemdiamondmining.com.
I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario. With grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold, a drill program will commence this spring to test the numerous targets located by recent groundwork. For more information, visit our website, rmroyalty.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with John Kaiser. John, when you introduced Osisko and the Windfall story, you added GFK Resources and its Fecteau Project to our Discovery Watch list as an indicator that a true area play is emerging in the urban Barry Greenstone Belt. Has this started to happen?
We are not seeing any real market activity in GFK Resources. They conducted a drill program on one of the Casa Cameron projects in a completely different area. They have rebuffed overtures from various groups to farm into the Fecteau Project, which is a project that's been around for a property that's been around for some time to the east of the Windfall, where all the action is taking place. It has geological merit on its own right. It has VMS potential with gold potential. The company is planning to start work during the summer, but it will need to do some financing. The Windfall District at this point is still a closeology play because it is the companies that are in and around Osisko's mainland position that have received all the action. The excitement is all about consolidation of the existing projects such as Metanor and Beaufield. But farther abroad where the Greenstone Belt is present, we have not yet seen anybody really come into those areas. There are companies now staking an ever larger halo around the Windfall District itself. They're not getting any attention yet. What's still missing is either a new resource estimate from Osisko, which shows that the number of ounces and the grade are significantly bigger than previously disclosed, or some sort of barn burner intersection with high grades over long intersections that tells us that this camp truly needs to be taken seriously. And once that happens, then we'll see retail interest come into this market. To a large degree, the interest at this point is institutionally and high net worth investor driven. But I would expect that by the end of this year, the retail audience will have woken up. The tremendous amount of money that was raised in March relative to what has been traded. Retail people, it's very difficult for retail investors to put money directly into treasuries. They have to buy it in the open market. We're seeing the so-called accredited investors putting money into corporate treasuries, which are very flush with cash, all earmarked for discovery, exploration, drilling. So it hasn't happened yet, but we should definitely keep our eyes on GFK Resources and its Fecteau project for a signal that the area play psychology is kicking in for the urban Barry Greenstone Belt.
Ivanhoe Mines reported assays for the big step-out hole at the Cocola Qumola project in the Congo. Did assays confirm that this 3.8 kilometer step-out is an extension of the rich Cocola copper zone?
On April 10th, the company reported that 8.86 meters had averaged 5.83% copper, and within that was a 6-meter interval of almost 7% copper, which is similar grade to the main Cocola discovery. Now, in addition, the company has done 2 step-out holes farther to the west, one 400 meters and another 800 meters, and they have intersected the same sort of chalcocite-rich copper mineralization as in the hole just reported. So now the Cocola portion of this giant Qumola-Cocola system stretches for 11 kilometers, and the company's now getting interest from big mining producers, copper producers and that from around the world, because this is like at the absolute top of the world class scale in terms of a discovery. They've got 14 rigs on the property right now, mainly on the Cocola zone. 3 of them are now in that western part. 1 is in the southeastern part because the system is still open at that end. But the company has signaled that it's going to start stepping up, moving more rigs into the western part to start to try and find the limits of this extraordinary system.
We'll have more Discovery Watch with John Kaiser right after this.
Metanor Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. John, you've talked about an important new trend where the producers are doing deals where they are buying strategic equity stakes in juniors and in some cases optioning one of the projects. The deal Newmont did with Goldstrike Resources on its Plateau project in the Yukon was an example you introduced to Discovery Watch. Have any similar new deals caught your attention?
Well, the very interesting one that surfaced this week was Barrick Gold optioning part of the Rakla Belt project owned by ATAC Resources in northern Yukon. Under this deal, Barrick can earn up to 70% of the Orion segment by spending first $35 million over 5 years to earn 60%, and of that, it is on the hook to spend $10 million during the first year. It can't bail out. It either has to pay ATAC that money or spend it. And once it's vested for 60%, it has an option to earn another 10%, bringing it to 70% by spending an additional $20 million. In addition, the company's putting in $8.3 million of flow-through dollars into the treasury at 50 cents. And what was quite interesting is that the Barrick already owned 9.3%, which was below the disclosure threshold as an insider prior to this announcement. So this financing will give it a 19.9% equity stake in ATAC. The portion of the project where they have some new zones, but which has not received the bulk of the $60 million the company has spent on the Rakla Belt since 2009. It is now going to become the focus for a hunt to find a sediment-hosted gold system similar to the Carlin-type deposits in Nevada. Now, this is a very positive development because in 2009, when ATAC first intersected the Tiger Zone, this was one of my bottom fish picks that was there at 50, 60 cents. By mid-2011, the stock had hit $10 and was sporting a $1 billion valuation based on optimism that this was an entirely new Carlin-type district. However, the work in the Osiris district, it leaded a number of zones. Conrad was one of them, and the stock collapsed in the fall of 2011 because the market realized that while, yes, you get the Carlin-type mineralization with decent grades, what we were not seeing was the large zones emerge. This is a very remote area. No, there's no infrastructure there. This type of mineralization tends to have metallurgical issues, so you need an awful lot of it and a good grade to bring in roasters and so on to autoclaves to be able to extract the gold from the rocks. And the play has been pretty dead for the last 3 or 4 years. They annually raise additional money to keep going. So with Barrick coming in and tackling the middle segment of this belt, this is a huge vote of confidence in both what the company believes is present in the Rakla belt, and also for the Yukon in general, because Barrick has the deep pockets needed to bring in the infrastructure if indeed there are very serious sediment-hosted gold deposits in the Rakla belt to be found.
John, thanks a lot for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
We've been talking to John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. Discovery Watch will be back next week. I'm Jim Godley.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howstreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.